Did you miss us? What's good, everybody? Welcome into a very special Ryder Cup edition of Cash Out with the Coaches. I am the coach. He is Travis Fulton, one of the best golf coaches in all of the land. Trav, we've had a couple of weeks off, but now we're back. And in my opinion, this is the greatest event in golf, and it's not close. I'm pumped because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think the teams know what's going to happen, but I'm here for it. Whistling Straits, how pumped up are you?
It's one of my favorite events. It's not only one of my favorite events in golf, it's one of my favorite events in sports. You got 12 guys coming together, Team USA, of course, 12 on the other side in Europe who have dominated this competition, 9 of the last 12. That's been well documented. Everyone knows that. And there's a lot of storylines, which I know we're going to get to, but even without the storylines, the intensity, the passion, this team competition, playing for something bigger than yourself. It's a little unique for this game. This is an individual sport. So when it comes together like this, and it's every other year, and it's been 3 years, of course, since the Americans got beat bad in France, here it is, right? So we rally behind this. It's got a great history to it. And I'm excited here this weekend to watch it all play out. I mean, I'm going to head up there actually this week.
Oh, cool.
Going to get on the grounds. Yeah, I'm going to be up there doing a couple events. I'm going to get on the grounds on Friday. I've never been. So, I felt it through the TV. Now to be on the grounds, I'm going to walk to that first tee and feel it. I can't wait.
Well, I can't wait to see what you post on social media and kind of hear your feelings on what it's like, because it's one thing to watch, as you said. You also said a line that I want to get back to, playing for something bigger than yourself. And Brooks Koepka did a very, I think, well thought out, strategically timed interview with, I believe it was Golf Digest, where basically he said he doesn't like the Ryder Cup. He said, I don't like how it throws me out of my routine. I'm used to doing things on my own. It was, in my opinion, a very selfish interview. Paul Azinger didn't like it. And that, to me, has been kind of the overriding storyline over all the storylines we're going to get to. And it just speaks to what Brooks Koepka always seems to do, try to get the spotlight on himself. Mm-hmm. But this is not the week to do it. And they're still talking about it today.
Yeah, he has a way, doesn't he? To kind of put it out there and make it about himself. I think he drug this, he's been dragging this thing with Bryson feud on too long. And a lot of players are like, well, the media runs with it. No, I mean, Brooks is the one that continues to not let it go and put it out there in the public eye. And we've talked about it. Bryson can't get out of his own way. Now here we are right outside of the Ryder Cup. You already know that the perception of the American team is as such that they're not united.
That's right.
They don't trust one another, right? They're entrepreneurs. They don't really care about the Ryder Cup as much. All these storylines, and perhaps there's a little truth to it for some of them. For others, I think the Ryder Cup perhaps does mean more than maybe what they put out there. And then Brooks, makes the comment. Yeah, Brooks makes the comment that, maybe this, I think it's the quote, this team thing isn't for me, right? So whether it's too cool for school or he really doesn't like it, what have it, it was bad optics, and it landed wrong, especially given all the things that I just talked about. So can the Americans, come together with these pods and go out and play some good golf? Because that's what it comes down to. We know that. We know that the team, the fabric of the team is not the best. We know that Europe has the edge there, but can the better players on paper, the better ball strikers, the better short game players, the better putters, we're talking the better players on paper, it's not even close. Can they go out there and play better golf this week? If they can do that, they'll win. They'll overcome those things, and perhaps we can start building a little bit of momentum.
On paper, as far as the rankings are concerned and the numbers, this is the most stacked USA team that we've had since 1995. So we're going to get into storylines. We're going to get into the golf course. We're going to get into each team. And also, this is a golf betting show. We're going to get into how you need to attack the different days, alternate shot, or the different sessions, I should say, alternate shot, playing your own ball, the singles, all those different things, because it's different. It's a different mindset on how you bet those different matchups. So we're going to get into all that. So let's jump in right now. Storylines that could affect the betting lines this week. And let's start right there with Brooks and Bryson. So Bryson said on Monday that he had dinner recently with Brooks, and they hashed it out, talked it out. And then on Sunday night, they had dinner again. He said it went very, very well. And he said, quote, something fun could be coming up with us in the very near future, end quote. But they're not going to say any more until whatever it is materializes. What I think it's going to be is one of the matches where they play against each other with whoever. But I think that'll be a disaster, because if you don't have Phil or trash talkers, it could be a long 4.5 hours. But the fact that they've had dinner twice, what does that tell you?
Well, I mean, they've been kind of forced a little bit to have, to be in the same room with one another. I mean, I think I don't think they like each other. I don't think that's played out. I think Brooks doesn't like Bryson more than perhaps Bryson doesn't like Brooks. At least that's, Brooks wears that on his shoulders for sure. So they've had to be in the same room. And I think they've probably come to the realization, look, let's put this thing behind us for this week and let's move on. Okay, fair enough. That's the least they can do, right? Is to be able to come together to some degree to understand that this is way bigger than you. And you're playing for something here that is the United States of America. That means something to the people. Like I went on, my podcast and I talked about this event means perhaps more to, I think, the core golf fan than maybe anything else. It really does. I think it's up there. I think it's up there with Augusta and those things. I mean, this is a big event. So I think some of the reality set in. If Stricker puts those two out there on Friday morning together, my head's going to explode. Absolutely.
How great would that be? They're not in practice groups on Tuesday. We're recording this on Tuesday. They're not in practice groups together, and I don't know how much that is going to matter, but your head will explode? Yeah,
because it makes no sense at all. None. Zero. It doesn't make any sense for Bryson to play in alternate shot. It doesn't. I'm going to alternate shot and best ball. I don't care about foursomes and four balls. It's too complicated. Alternate shot is Friday morning. Americans are not good at it. Bryson doesn't belong out there in that competition. I would make the argument perhaps Brooks doesn't either, right? Okay. Because neither one of them don't seem to really be buying into this team thing. So let's not put him out there in the morning. Best ball, yes, we'll have that conversation. But God forbid Bryson shows up on Friday morning on the tee. And if he shows up with Brooks, I'm going to lose it.
Well, he may or may not show up with Brooks, but he definitely is going to show up with his hands looking all kinds of scarred because he's hit well over 100 balls reportedly as he continues to get ready for the Pro Long Drive Championship, which is next week in Mesquite, Nevada. Now, why he's continuing to do this, again, it speaks to what you're talking about, the selfishness, because if you're really dialed in to the Ryder Cup and you're Bryson DeChambeau, then you're not hitting 100 balls as hard as you possibly can with the driver. You're working on your short game. You're working on your chipping. You're working on your iron play. That's what the Ryder Cup is. That's what the Ryder Cup is. So he's not doing that. So I think it speaks well to the narrative that they're going to get along. I'm with you. They better not be paired together. I just don't think that'd be a good look. No. I think the fans would be all over them, even though they're the United States team. That wouldn't be a good thing either. I want it squashed. And I also think Steve Stricker's at fault here, because we've been talking about it on the show, haven't we, for a couple of months? Would Steve Stricker step in? And he's like, yeah, I called both of them separately. Really? And then 2 days ago, when you're asking about Brooks Koepka, who missed all the practice a week ago, he's like, I think he's on site. I think he's here. I haven't seen him yet. You're the captain of the Ryder Cup team, and you don't know if your 4-time major champion is on site when he missed all your practice a week ago. It's a bad look. It's bad optics. He doesn't look like a good leader right now, and I don't know if that's going to change between now and Friday. And then apparently Tiger Woods is on the hotline and calling him every 2 minutes, according to him, and telling him what to do. He's part of the team. So I'm ready for this Bryson and Brooks thing to die and just to play, and hopefully it will. But it also brings us now to Team USA, Trav. And when you look at them, what's the storyline that you're looking at?
Well, I think we're turning over a new page, and I think that's an important thing of note here. Now, we know we've struggled 9 of the last 12. The last 2 decades have been dominated predominantly by Europe. Tiger was not good in the Ryder Cup. Phil was not good in the Ryder Cup. We go down that path, why that is. But the reality is this team sport we haven't been very good at as of late. Now, before that, the Americans certainly had a nice run. So I think when you look at that, I think we've eliminated some guys that have struggled in this format. We're turning the page. We've got 6 rookies on this team. That's a big number.
Yes, it is.
And, it's a rookie from a Ryder Cup perspective, but they're coming in, fresh blood, some energy. Let's turn the page. Let's start something here this week, now, us. And I think, you can put that chip on your shoulder. And when you're the better team, when you're the better player, and they know that, they've played with these guys. They know who they are, right? And this is not like we're going up against 12 guys that we've never seen before. They know that predominantly they're the better player. Now, Jon Rahm's the number 1 player in the world. Rory's a dog. Like, we get that, right? There's some dogs on Europe. But they're not fearing anyone over there. Besides that, are they? I mean, Tommy Fleetwood, Terrell Hatton, these are world-class players. I get it. But the Americans are the better players. They're longer off the tee. They're better iron players. Short game, putting, like, we can go down the list. Like, that's why they where they are when it comes to this. So I think we're turning the page. And I think we can kind of rally behind that. Hey, people are kind of against us. Let's start something. Let's change the narrative right now. Let's play with a purpose. Let's play with a chip on our shoulder. And when you're the better player, I like that. I like that narrative. And I think that plays well into Team USA. The average world rank is just under 9 for the United States.
Amazing.
That's staggering number. For Europe, it's 30.8. And the average age for America is 29. So, excuse me. Yeah, 29. Couldn't read my own writing. So we're younger. Let's have a purpose. Let's flip the script. Let's get this thing turned around. Us together right now, starting this year, and let's get on a run and bring this cup back to America. And I think that plays in their favor.
But everything you just said plays into my storyline on the opposite side with Team Europe, because this always seems to happen when you're a top flight athlete, when you're a superstar, to get yourself motivated and to respect your opponent to the level that you need to is very, very difficult. All the things you just said, the world rankings, the superstars, the major championships, so they know they're the better team. And then you look across the pond and you see the nice guys, Paul Casey, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Fleetwood, Sergio, he's back this year, Victor Hovland, Shane Lowry. You're like, wait a second, I can beat these. I beat them in the Scottish Open all the time. But I think it's going to be a reverse effect. I think it's going to be very, very difficult for Team USA to really get the respect in their mind to where it needs to be. We know Team Europe, they're going to be 12 deep. And they also do something that I like. They don't baby their players. And what I mean by that, Trav, is if Rory needs to play 5 sessions, guess what's going to happen? Rory's going to play 5 sessions. If Jon Rahm needs to play 5 sessions, guess what? Jon Rahm's going to play 5 sessions. On Team USA, it's like, well, we've got to make sure JT, who's probably a bad example, we got to make sure he gets his 3 in. And, Scotty Scheffler, first time, let's make sure he gets 2 or 3 in. No. You're here to win. And Team Europe being undervalued, not disrespected, but I don't think that they're getting up for them. And I think that's going to be a problem on Friday. And I think Team Europe will jump out to an early lead.
Well, they probably will. I mean, they're the better 4-ball player, and there's no question about that. I mean, the alternate shot has been the Achilles heel of the Americans team. They get down and then they have to kind of scrap back, and they don't seem to capture the momentum most of the time when it comes to that alternate shot format. We're just abysmal at it. Now, best ball, we're better. We should be certainly much better here on this type of golf course.
Sure.
But I think Stricker has to do a couple of things here. One is he has got to get the attention of this team, right? And understand that y'all have a chance here. Your average age is 29 to flip the narrative here and now not save the Ryder Cup, but start to bring back the Ryder Cup to the United States, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, the history is the history. We get that. Some of you have played a few events. DJ's played 16 matches. Koepka's played 7 or 8. JT's only played 5. So you've got a little bit. I get it.
Yeah.
But if you can get their attention and say, the opportunity's now, does this mean something to you? Does this mean something to you? Does it mean something to you, Brooks, to represent the United States of America? Does it? and get their attention and say, now go out there and prove it, right? Mm-hmm. If it means something to you and you're all here and you got the passion and the intensity to play something for bigger than yourself, then go out there and prove it and be united and trust one another. And if you can do that, then, well, at least that's some positive steps in what we've seen in the past, right? And I think so. That's number one. Number two, he has got to get this alternate shot right. He has got to come out of alternate shot 2-2. Like, he can't come out of here 3-1, 4-0. Like, there has to be 50-50 here, I think, an alternate shot. They have got to figure out what that equation is. I think he'll default to Buddy, Spieth, JT, Xander, Cantlay. Like, I think that's where he'll default to, but we'll see. Regardless, though, this alternate shot has got to get better.
Then what's your legacy as the Ryder Cup captain going to be? If that's, what you're going to do,
story, right? Yeah,
we've been talking about it. I love Steve Stricker. I did PGA Tour Live at the John Deere. His daughters were there, and it's amazing. But he's just too nice, and I didn't believe that he had it in him to be the divisive leader that they need right now because of the history of it. So we've got 24 stars, but another big star of this event is obviously the course, right? Yeah. So we got Whistling Straits, which has been a home of most recently the PGA Championship when Jason Day, back when he was number one in the world, beating Jordan Spieth in a great competition several years ago. But now Whistling Straits is back. This is a big boy golf course. It is long. It is tough. It's in Wisconsin. I played Black Wolf Run, which is kind of the sister course, right, a couple of miles away. But kind of tell the people at home what they can expect to see, because I know there's going to be a lot of people that have never seen this course before, new golf fans.
Well, the first thing you're going to see is this is Pete Dye, right? So he is the master of deception. There's going to be a few holes where if the camera angle's right, you're going to be like, where the hell's the fairway at? Right? I mean, that's like, there's a couple holes. You're going to be like, where's he hitting it? So that's first and foremost, right? It's just like the holes over there and the fairways over there and the tees going that way. And it's like, there's all kinds of stuff going on. So like playing the course, your sight lines is going to be very, very important. I feel I've never played it. I've been doing a lot of research on it. I did play it on the About Golf simulator, which is really interesting.
The simulator or the course? The simulator course. Or the course? Okay.
Yeah, on the simulator. Okay. And it is very accurate. As you know, these simulators are like crazy good. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. So I'm playing this thing and I played it from the tips, and I don't think they're going to tip it out. And if they did, my goodness. This is a big golf course. I think you could push it to 78.
Wow.
79. Yeah, I really do. They won't. They won't, because they've got rain. It's going to be soft, I think. And that plays into, by the way, the Americans' hands. That's a very good thing. Fairways are going to play wider, fly the ball to the flagstick, USA, right? So there's going to be no bouncing the ball up, and that certainly favors the Americans. I think the fairways are generous. I think, there's rough, but you got to really spray it to get into big, heavy stuff. The first cut off the fairway, I don't think it's going to be much of an issue, and it shouldn't be. These fairways need to play as wide as they possibly can for USA. I think there's more trouble around the greens. You'll see some definite challenges around the green, maybe a little longer rough around the greens, and just terrific green complexes. I mean, Pete Dye is a master. Yeah. So I think a golf course that suits Americans quite nicely. I think what's really interesting, Coach, and one of the things that my takeaway was from playing on the simulator was cutting some of these angles. There's opportunity where when you carry it 320, you can go here versus here, right? And we've got a lot of guys that can carry the golf ball in the air a long ways. I'm hoping, and if they don't, it's crazy. They're setting this thing up to that advantage. Cut the corner. There's a par 5. It's number 5, I believe, where Brooks will take it over the corner, or Bryson will take it over the corner. And if he carries it like he does, he'll have 160 yards into it. So there's three drivable par 4s potentially. So there's a lot of that to look at as far as these angles off the tee that can favor the Americans.
All right, so let's dive into the Americans team and really look at what we believe the attack will be. And I was a little surprised, to be quite honest with you, that you thought or you think that Bryson should not be an alternate shot format. I just thought he hits it so far that maybe they have some shorter iron shots in. But when we look at the 12 guys, and here they are quickly for people who do not know: Dustin Johnson, Colin Morikawa, Patrick Cantlay, Xander, Justin Thomas, Bryson, Tony Finau, Brooks, Harris English, Jordan Spieth, Daniel Berger, and Scotty Scheffler. Give me one guy on the American squad, Trav, that you think has the potential, if it falls the right way, to play all 5 sessions.
Oh, I think Justin Thomas can play all 5 for sure.
I agree.
If Morikawa's back's right, I think he'll play all 5. He's had some issues, so depending on how he's feeling, maybe we'll only see him for 3, but I think it's a no-brainer for JT. And I think if Spieth goes out and he's in form, he'll play 5. To me, JT and Spieth are the leaders of this. And, I think those are the 2 that, look, you got to put your best players out there. And after the morning session or day 1, things start to change. Like, I don't have it, my back, whatever. Like, you have to start making adjustments. But I think those 2 are the natural. I think Morikawa is natural. We know Morikawa is just crazy good. He ran into some fatigue and back issues at the end of the FedEx Cup. And then Cantlay. I mean, Cantlay is just solid. He's so damn solid through the bag. Can you just kind of ride him as well? Now, certainly DJ has that capability. Koepka has that capability, but I'm probably leaving both of those guys out of the alternate shot in the morning. And I'm probably going to, I kind of like the Harris English Berger, just kind of showing my hand. I like those 2 complementing one another in an alternate shot.
Here's what I'm hoping happens, because in recent Ryder Cups, it drives me bananas when the captain comes out and says, we've got a plan and we're going to stick to that plan. And then you get smacked in the face and you're down, 6-2 after 2 sessions, and you've got a guy that's hitting it left, right, and everywhere else, and you don't sit him because that was your plan and you can't change that. No, you have to adjust on the fly. And hopefully Steve Stricker has the cojones to do that. And if Brooks and his wrist is not playing well, then Brooks has to be honest, and you got to sit him down. If Colin Morikawa's back is not feeling well, you got to be honest, and you got to sit him down. He's got to have all the guys you talked about, JT, Jordan, Xander, the guys that can go 5. They have to mentally be prepared to go 5, and probably only play 3 or 4, but they have to be ready to go 5 if the injuries jump up. The other thing we've seen that Team Europe does, that Team USA doesn't do a good job of, if you're a rookie and you're new and we know the nerves get to you, they'll play them just 1 session. They have no problem with that because Team Europe's there to win. I think Team USA and the captains are there to make everybody feel good. And you already said it, the buddy system. So hopefully the players have gone into a room and said, guys, egos, let's check them at the door. For the first time, really checking them at the door. Whatever captain asked me to do, yes, sir. Whatever captain asked me to do on Saturday, yes, sir. Wherever he wants me to play in singles on Sunday, yes, sir. Do I think that's going to happen? No, I do not.
You know what's interesting? You make a good point. I talked to Lanny Watkins on Monday, and he said, Travis, when we played in the Ryder Cup, no one said, I want to play with him. Or like, you showed up and the captain said, okay, you're going to play with him. You're going to play with him. Like, there was no bar. Like, I'll play. Like, you just show whatever you want me to do. Put whatever you want me to do. All 12 guys. Now it's, hey, do you want to play with him? Do you want to, and there's, they're buddies. I think there's perhaps a little value to that. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think it should be down the list when it comes to decision-making of, no, here's what we're going to do. And here's why. Alternate shot, best ball, singles, whatever, this buddy thing. Although I do think Spieth and Thomas could be a very good, it makes sense, for those 2 from an alternate shot standpoint. That makes sense to me. I would probably do something a little different. That's just me on the outside, but those 2 probably make the most sense going out there from an alternate shot standpoint. But it's going to be interesting. I don't think Bryson belongs out there in the morning. Yeah. I don't think Brooks belongs out there in the morning. On Friday, I'd sit those 2, get them ready for the afternoon, and go about it a little bit differently. And DJ as well. I think DJ, you could make the case for DJ, I think, a little bit more on the alternate shot.
Give me one name of the rookies that you think when we get to Sunday night, we're going to say, you know what? He really stepped up for Team USA.
Boy, that's a good one. I was kind of out on Scheffler early. He's grown on me a little bit more, since. But look, Morikawa's the guy, right?
I agree.
I mean, we're talking about 2-time major champion. Like, if the putter's good, he's so damn good, and he just,
I agree.
I just think he's the most skilled. We've seen it. I think this will mean something to him. I just hope he's 100%. I really do. If he's 100%, I think he's the guy.
I really, really was disappointed and I'll give him credit for even showing up for every tournament in the FedEx Cup. He clearly wasn't right. And his game showed that he was never in contention whatsoever. But we have seen in golf that a couple of weeks can do wonders because these guys have the best physios, the best everything that money can buy. So I would lean towards, yes, he will be good to go as opposed to what we saw in those 3 weeks. So now let's go to the other side. Let's flip the script. Let's go to Team Europe. And here is what that team looks like, Trav. Paul Casey. It's great that he's finally been able to play on a couple after so many years of being unable to play because he didn't want to play on the European tour. Then they got rid of that ridiculous rule, and now he can play. Matthew Fitzpatrick, Tommy Fleetwood, Sergio Garcia, Tyrell Hatton, Victor Hovland. I think people forget that he is from Europe. Shane Lowry, Rory McIlroy, who is just a Ryder Cup beast. Ian Poulter, John Rahm, who I'll give him credit for playing last week to get his game right. Didn't work, but he played. Lee Westwood, and then Bernd Wiesberger. What do you make of this team?
Well, I mean, I think it's Rahm is the number one player in the world. We know that. Fleetwood, his twin brother Molly is not there. Francisco Molinari, which those two were just so good.
They were so good
3 years ago.
So good. And maybe one of the greatest commercials we've ever seen afterwards in the bed with the Ryder Cup. It was next level. Sorry, go ahead.
Fleetwood, it's interesting with Fleetwood. He lost his card this year on the PGA Tour. That's how bad he's played.
Wow.
Wow. Tommy Fleetwood lost his card. Tyrrell Hatton hasn't had a good year. Those two guys need to play better. Those are the two names because I think Rahm is going to be intense. Rory's going to be intense. I like the Shane Lowry pick. I think he'll be there. Sergio's always tough. Poulter's always tough. We know those guys are going to wrestle you to the end. Paul Casey's played very well. He's got an American game. I'm probably not too worried about him. Hovland has played his whole life in the United States. One of the best ball strikers. I think Fleetwood and Hatton are the two guys, Coach, that Europe needs to play well. Like those two guys need to turn it around because Fleetwood has played very well in the past. I think he was 4-1 in France. I think that Fleetwood was 4-1.
So good. Yeah, he was so good. He's so good.
And Hatton he's played once and he's been 1-2. So, it's like Fleetwood, his hair, and we know what he can do. And then I think Hatton can get under your skin. He wears his emotion on his shoulder. Like he can get under some people's skin. Those are the two that I think need to be positive for Europe to win. Not too worried about. I think Fitzpatrick, we'll see him once. Bernd Wiesberger, I think you'll see him once. I think Westwood's probably the question mark. How many times you play him? Westwood and Sergio have been very good together in team competition over the years. These guys have been around, it feels like, for 100 years. And they've been very good together. So I'm curious to see if they go back to the well again, Coach, with Sergio and Westwood as a team.
Here's what I think is going to happen. And I don't want to discount what some of these players have done over the years. Remember, Sergio was in his prime and he didn't make the Ryder Cup team. And instead of crying about it, instead of sitting at home and watching on TV, what did he do that year? He said, what can I do? Well, just let me be a part of it. And he was out there and he was cheering them on. He had the earpiece in. I think sometimes the guys get too caught up with the earpieces. They like to have it in there and look like they're important. But here's what I think Team Europe's going to do to counteract some of their inexperience, but also some of their experienced players playing like crap, like Fleetwood, like Hatton. I think they're going to separate Rory, Rahm, Poulter, Sergio, and Paul Casey, and then partner them with other guys on the team. That's why I think Rahm, Rory, and maybe even Ian Poulter, all three will play 5 sessions. I believe that. Certainly Rory and John are playing every session.
Oh, that for sure. Yeah.
Every session. And I think you don't put Rory and John Rahm together. You don't need to do that, but you got to have that experience. So I think they're going to separate those 5 guys, and then you put a Fitzpatrick in there, you put a Fleetwood in there, you put a Shane Lowry in there, who is very, very, very motivated. So give me a guy that you think on Sunday, since we know what Rory and John are going to do. Give me a guy that we're going to say, you know what, that guy really surprised me from Team Europe because fill in the blank.
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Rahm and Rory are the two that you're going to kind of lean on there. I think if I had to pick, I gave you the two that I think need to step up for this team. I think it's Lowry, to be honest with you. I thought that was a very good pick. I really did. He could have picked Justin Rose, and Justin Rose has played this course, and he's played well. And Justin Rose has a good Ryder Cup record, 11-5-2. So I thought that was, that was kind of
it was gutsy. Right. It was gutsy.
Interesting pick. Yeah, but I think Lowry, he's been over here. He's a major champion winner. He's got an underrated game. He knows how to do things over here. I like his style. I really do. I think Lowry could be easily a guy here that can pick up 2 to 3 points here for the week. So I'll go with Shane Lowry, the rookie, to answer that question.
Yeah, he's a little lucky because that Sunday I was watching the European Tour event, and basically it was Wiesberger and Shane Lowry. They're like, they've got to play great today. They've got to have a great round today. They're going to show the captain that their game's in form. And then he laid an egg. It was like double bogey, double bogey. And I kind of wrote him off. And I said, they're not going to pick him because of this, because the announcers made it feel like that one round was going to make or break whether or not they got on the team. So I'm glad he got on the team as well. Now, this is a golf betting show at its core. So we need to educate people. We're not going to make picks because obviously we don't even know the matchups yet.
Right.
But there are 3 different ways to play: alternate shot, and then your best ball, and then you got the singles on Sunday. And they're all 3 completely different ways to bet. Let's start with the alternate shot format, where one player tees off and then they alternate, and then it doesn't go back, complete alternate shot. One player does the odds, and one player does the evens. So from a betting perspective, Trav, what do you think is the most important thing that people at home need to understand to make the right pick, either Team Europe or Team USA in that particular matchup?
From an alternate shot standpoint,
yeah.
I think how does the game accommodate one another, right? Like, run it in your head. Okay, he's going to hit a drive. And that means he's got to hit an iron. And that means he has to hit either a short game shot or a putt. And then reverse that and say, okay, now he's going to hit a par 3 shot and he has to hit a short game shot or a putt. And then, kind of run that through your head and ask yourself, okay, strength, weakness, maybe rate it out, like, to you, what that means to you. And then do it for the other team as well, right? Do it for both sides. And then ask yourself, how do you see that playing out from that alternate shot standpoint? Does this weakness outweigh this weakness in your mind, right? An alternate shot, to me, like, I think you got to have some short game in alternate shot, more so than you do in best ball, right? Because in best ball, if you're worried about getting the ball up and down a bunch, you're going to get your ass whipped, right? Because that's free will it. We got to make birdies, right? Mm-hmm. So in alternate shot, errant drive, short game's going to come and play, right? Guy wedges it out. Could be a good drive, miss second shot, short game's going to come and play. So who can get the ball more crafty up and down, I think, is something that I'm going to weigh out much more when it comes to alternate shot.
I think that is an absolutely perfect spot on point, because you only get one drive per hole on alternate shot. If you've got a red hot player in 4-ball, you can ride him all the way, but an alternate shot, I think you've got to, you really have to put in the time on Thursday and look at the matchups when they come out and look at who's going to be teeing off on what hole. And if you've got a player that's going to be teeing off on the par threes 2 or 3 times. Look at that. Really look at that, because the really good iron players and long iron players, because it's such a long course, it's going to be so important. And also, who's driving the ball well right now. So all you got to look at the stats. It's a numbers game. But also, I think intestinal fortitude has to play in, Trav. You've got to look at a guy like Ian Poulter, and if he's an alternate shot, I'm leaning towards playing Team Europe because he's got guts. And in the Ryder Cup, yes, numbers are important, but so are guts. And I think in that format, you're talking for people to compare, sometimes 3 to 4 under is a really, really good score. And in best ball, you could see 8 to 10 under sometimes. That's how big of a difference it really is. So let's talk about best ball for a second from a betting perspective, whereas the low score from the 2 guys in the hole is what is taken. What do you think is the most important thing there?
Well, I think in best ball, I think this is where, in my eyes, the length, strokes gain approach, and birdies, right? Like that's where it's going for me. The advantage of length, and then the iron game into the greens, and then who can make a lot of birdies, right? And of course, putting is going to come into that equation as well. So I'm going to strokes gain short game, which might be up here. For me, I would say like an alternate shot to be strokes gain approach and strokes gain short game are like 1 and 1A an alternate shot. Mm-hmm. And then I would drop putting or short game down when we get to best ball, and I would bring up that distance element, strokes gain approach, and then I'd really bring up the strokes gain putting and who can make a lot of birdies and get on that roll, right, and let it go. So that's, hopefully that makes sense, like on how that would kind of ebb and flow from one format to the other.
I think, to use an example to help support your point, would be Bryson playing in the afternoon as opposed to Bryson playing in the morning, because in the afternoon, Bryson can just freewheel it. Right. You put him with somebody like, I think you would pair Bryson with a Cantlay or somebody who's really, really steady. Maybe like a Daniel Berger, somebody like that is going to put in the middle of the fairway, and then Bryson hits second. And then now he can cut the corners that you talked about already. And then he can see how far out there he can hit it. We saw at the U.S. Open. If he's driving it even a little bit straight, what an advantage.
Yeah.
So if he can just bomb I think I'm going to lean into betting Bryson whenever I can. And I would assume he's going to play all of the best ball sessions. Wouldn't you think so?
Oh, yeah. I think so for sure. I mean, unless he just goes out and shanks it all over the place on Friday afternoon. I think Bryson will play 3. I think Bryson will play 3 times. And I think Brooks will play 3, potentially 4 times. You think Brooks is going to play that much with the injury and the fact he hasn't shown up? The fact that Stricker didn't even know if he was there on Sunday? If he feels right, I said, potential. I think 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll say 3. 4 might be pushing it. And then I think DJ is between the 3 and 4 number.
Okay. He played a little bit better the last time out that we saw him, but he was really struggling in the end of July and into the FedEx Cup playoffs. Yeah,
I think Finau, I would like to see Finau and Brooks play in best ball.
I think that'd be great.
I think those two, great. Yeah, I think those two make a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. I'm very curious to see who he puts Brooks with. I really am.
Who do you think?
I'm hoping it's Finau. I hope it's not DJ. I think that would be, again, this buddy. Like I'm hoping it's not.
I don't think they're buddies anymore. Low key, Brooks and Emery goes, hey, we were never even that close. So I think the public thinks they're buddies, but I really don't. I don't know who Brooks would be a good partner for. I'll be honest. Everybody talks about Bryson not being a good partner for anybody. I don't know that people really want to play with Brooks.
I think it's Finau. Finau's the nicest person in the world. He don't care.
Yep.
He's gonna, hey guys, let's.
That's right.
Finau, I think, Brooks is overly confident, if that's what you want to call it. Finau is a birdie making machine. I mean, we know that. So he's gonna be like, all right, I'm with the alpha. I'm cool with that. Finau's cool with being with the alpha. Like, I'm fine. I'm secure in my own skin. Let's go. like
that's true.
So I think those two make a lot of sense. I really do. I'm hoping that's what we see there. I think you'll see Xander and Cantlay both matches on Friday. I think you'll see Spieth and JT both matches on Friday. And I'm hoping I like the Harris Berger combination. I really do. I think they'd be an interesting alternate shot. Two guys coming into this hungry. Harris has no weaknesses. And I think, Berger's a great driver of the ball. He's a great iron player. His short game scares me a little at times, but Harris is solid. I mean, Harris doesn't get enough credit for how consistent his game is through the bag. 2-time winner this year. So I like that solid feel with Harris, with a Daniel Berger that I think could be interesting. The other thing to keep note of is Berger and Koepka are both Seminoles. So maybe there's some kind of tie there too.
All right. Well, finally, let's move into Sunday. And this can be incredible value because there's 12 different bets that you can make as far as a straight pick. There could be a lot of value here, and I'll explain in a second, but also can be very, very dangerous. And the value, Trav, is that you could have, depending on where the captains put players, we've seen in past where you're like, well, I know Rory is just going to dust the floor with that one, and that's a point for Europe. And it usually plays out that way. And you look and say, that's a guaranteed point there. But where it's dangerous is match 8 through 12. Because if the Ryder Cup is clinched by either side, then you start to see them just kind of play it out quickly so they can just get it over with. And if you have a bet on match 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, and it's over, well, then what do you do? What do you do? Your bet better be on the side that clinched the Ryder Cup.
Right.
The other side, they just want it. We just saw it with the women at the Solheim Club. It's like 2 or 3 matches, just get it over with. So be very careful with single matches of kind of, let's go Team USA. What are guys you think that you would look at and say, no matter who they match up with on the other side, I think they would have really good value because of the clear advantage they would have in singles? Well,
I mean, I think, I might be coming across a little bit like a Morikawa homer, I guess. I just think he's so dang solid. Cantlay's been so solid. If Cantlay plays anything like he has been, he hasn't made any mistakes. He doesn't make mistakes.
No, he doesn't. He makes you make the mistake.
Yeah, I mean, he's just like, okay, fairway green. It's like he's not making mistakes. So are we going to get the same Cantlay? JT's tough. We saw JT take Rory down. JT is an absolute dog. I think he would probably be number 1 for me in that category. And then I would say I'd probably put Morikawa there as my second. And then I would probably go between Xander and Cantlay, as a third. I think
I love that.
I think Xander and Cantlay are. That's going to be an interesting 1-2 right there, because I do think Stricker is going to lean on those two. I do. I feel that coming. I think they're going to play a lot, and let's as good as Cantlay's been. Yeah, we've seen Xander be really good, and then we've seen Xander kind of fold in big moments too, down major championships. So I think it's going to be interesting. And Cantlay hasn't won a major championship. That's an interesting dynamic. Those two for me feel a little bit like the X factor. You kind of know what JT and Spieth. I think you're going to get some value there. But what do those guys do? Do they go? Are they the new Tommy Fleetwood and Francisco Molinari? Right? Because that's what we need. We need that formidable 1-2 punch that are like
that stays together. That's right.
That's our dogs. Yeah. That's our dogs.
Yeah. And I think Cantlay, ever since his performance beating Bryson in the playoffs, the level of respect and credibility that he walks around with now, and all of a sudden he's got this new personality that, I'll be quite honest with you, I'm the leader of the anti-Patrick Cantlay club, but he's been very entertaining the last couple of weeks. He's been really, really entertaining. So you throw in the fact that he makes every putt he looks at right now. He's the best player in the world right now. Mm-hmm. And then the fact that he was able to do that in a pressure situation in the playoffs and then get it done with $15 million on the line and never miss a shot on Sunday. I think he might be my number 1. But there's also a misconception that you've got to put your best players out last on Sunday. I don't believe that to be true, because it hardly ever comes down to 14.5 and 13.5. Yeah. I think you've got to come right out of the chute with JT number 1 on the box, getting that crowd hyped. Back him up with Cantlay right behind him. Then you back him up with Spieth. Now you put the rookies in there 4, 5, and 6. So I think that's what they should do. I don't know if they will do it, but that's what they should do from a singles perspective.
Yeah, I think Padre is going to lead with Rahm a lot. I think you're going to see Rahm early and often. Mm-hmm. I think Rahm will go out first Thursday morning, Friday morning, or Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning. I do. I think he's going to lead the way for them, and then I think Spieth and Thomas will go out early those days as well.
I agree. All right, so before I get your final thoughts, this is our 40th episode, and we certainly hope that we're going to be back in January doing another year of Cash Out with the Coaches. I think so too. But regardless, this year's been amazing. We want to thank everybody at home for watching. Before we go, Trav, as always, your final thoughts as we head into what has been 3 years in the making, the Ryder Cup on our soil, Whistling Straits, Wisconsin. It's going to be awesome.
Home field advantage. I think the course is playing out nicely to set up for the Americans. I think the wet conditions help. I think the 6 rookies come in. I think we flip the switch here a little bit. Hey, let's start something now with a better team on paper. There's a lot of things happening here that I like for the United States. I don't like Brooks' selfishness. I don't like the Bryson, thing that's kind of played out. We better not see those guys go out together on Friday morning. Man. I think we rally. I think this is the beginning of a new era. I really do. And I think the Americans win, and I think they win by 2.5 points.
All right. So if they do, it'll be in style. They'll be doing it with swag. We saw the clothes they're going to be wearing. They're going to look freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And I am here for it. All right. So for the last time in 2021, you're all set. Be very careful with how you place your bets on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But there is no better golf betting sweat than the Ryder Cup. So let's get it going. Let's get it going. For Travis Fulton, for Cody, Samantha, and our incredible partners at Sports Pub for an incredible year. I am the coach. And remember, if you're going to cash out, why not cash out with the coaches? Good luck.
Dude.
Hey guys, what's good? This is the coach. You may know me from PGA Tour Live, the Golf Channel, or even ESPN. I wanted to interrupt this YouTube video real quick to tell you how to get the best and most entertaining golf betting content every single week, and it's all for free. It's called Cash Out with the Coaches. I've teamed up with legendary golf instructor Travis Fulton, and he's also a PGA Tour insider, to bring you the unscripted, unfiltered PGA Tour betting talk and analysis. All you have to do is subscribe to Sports Pub's new channel, and you'll get access to our Cash Out with the Coaches show before every single PGA Tour event. You can also play along with the coaches, too. We don't hold anything back on this free show. And all you have to do is subscribe to Sports Pub's channel with the button on the video, and you'll have access to every single show. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Can't wait to see you on the channel.